Yes.
We started joining on this place. So, no, no. No, no.
You are the volume.
Okay. Hello, good morning, class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, you are all welcome to SST 813.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you. Yes, like we said yesterday, we appreciate participation in our class. So I want us to be participating. Don't just log on and go doing your other activities, please. I can see a few people present. Just seeing a few people around, but we are starting. So a few of you that are around, we are set to go on. Good morning once again. Or what's the view of the class? Do we wait a few minutes for some more members to join, or we go ahead?
From what I saw, ma'am, the number of people that choose this course as their elective, we are very few. I think we are about 5 or 6 of us.
Okay.
So if we are that few, I think 4 is a good number for us to start.
4.
Or 5.
Okay, 4 is good number to start.
Yes, ma'am, because we are not many that choose this course as our elective. We are about 6 of us, 6 or 7 of us. I can't remember the exact number.
Okay.
We are very.
Okay, have you done your registration? Have you registered for your electives? Because I tried to find out from Mrs. Obekpa, Dr. Obekpa. She told me that you had not done your online registration, so she couldn't be sure of the number of people that wanted to go for the course.
I think, as at now, they are still collecting names of people who are choosing different courses. Even as of yesterday, some people are still asking if they can change the course they are choosing earlier as their elective. So I don't.
Okay.
For now, that is the stage where we are.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Then I think we can go ahead then.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I can see people joining. Rosemary came up. She's off. And but I think in the circumstance we can go on. In the circumstance we can go on. So were you in there? How many of you were in the class yesterday? Can I see indications?
I was conspicuously absent, ma, because I didn't know the timing, ma. Thank you, ma.
Okay, the time of the lecture is 10 a.m. All right. So Adamson, were you in the lecture yesterday?
Ma'am, we were told that classes will not hold. Oh, I didn't know that class.
Oh, wow. Yes, sorry about that. Actually, I said they got that information from the head of the department, but we're going to look out for confirmation. If it did, then we will. Okay, you were told that lectures were not going to hold yesterday.
Yes, ma. Yes. That was the information we got.
Oh, wow.
Because of that, if there was any lectures yesterday, many of us missed it.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that. Okay, on the WhatsApp page, the link was placed there by 10. So I think we should just look out for the SSD 2025, we should be checking information. And from here too, I think it would be wise for us to have a WhatsApp group for people that are taking this course in particular, so that we'll be able to know ourselves and reach out to one another. So I think in the circumstance we go ahead. Rather, it was yesterday that we gave an information that the class for today was likely not going to hold, but the department changed the program. So our lectures are going to go on till Friday when we wrap up the lecture. So let's be on the watch out. You are welcome, Lucy. I hope you are there.
Yes, ma'am, here.
Okay. You are all welcome.
Thank
So
you, ma'am.
yesterday, we tried to look at definition of penal system, but I think I want to give a general overview of this course. One of the reasons why many people don't see the need for, say, law-related courses or things like this is because they don't know the import of the courses. And many people, when they realize the need for it, they rush for it, because as students of society, you cannot work effectively in the society without safety net or regulations and laws. Now, when we talk about social standard and penal system, I remember in the last session, it was after our introduction that a good number of students joined, because some said they thought maybe this is purely a law thing. So maybe it's meant for lawyers or law enforcement agents, and they didn't see themselves in that category. So I want to give an overview. My colleague, Dr. Akpe, took the issue of social standard and treated the issue of standards yesterday. But I want to give us a general overview and the need for this, because as students of society, I'm a lawyer by profession, but you know, society cannot operate without laws and regulations. And without laws and regulation, you cannot be an effective member of the society, or you cannot make proper inputs into the society. So when we talk about penal system, we are talking about punishment for wrongdoing in the society. Now, if you are talking about social standards, we are looking at, you know, norms and acceptable ways of doing things, be it in organized sector or in informal settings in the society. Let's take, for example, because we are going to look briefly at the history of the penal system. Penal system talks about punishment. And if, as beautiful as law is, if there is no punishment, law can be useless. If there is no enforcement, law cannot be useful. And if there is no enforcement, a society cannot be safe for anybody. It will not be safe for me, it will not be safe for you. So that's why, as students of society, it's important for you to know that there are standard ways of doing things, there are standard expectations, there are standard regulations, there are standard norms, there are conventions and all. And the only way we can succeed is by bringing in levels of enforcement by way of either reprimand and different levels of punishment. And punishment does not necessarily mean that you send somebody to jail. There are levels of punishment. It's only meant to correct. It's only meant to rehabilitate. And, you know, punishment has different aims and it has its own goals. We're going to look at the goals. But I want you to have it at the back of your mind that every student of society needs to understand the standard ways of doing things. And these standard ways of doing things is only when you know them, that when somebody is violating those standards, you will know. Now, when somebody violates those standards, what do? It's not just enough that you look at the society falling apart, things not being done the way they should, and then you just keep quiet. If that happens, then it becomes like the society where everybody is surviving, the survival of the fittest is going on. If you don't have what it takes, you are oppressed, you are suppressed, and you are helpless. You know, there should be channels within which there should be levels of enforcement, no matter how things become bad. So now a penal system is a network of laws, institutions, and processes to enhance penal system is referred to as a network of institutions, laws, and processes designed to enforce societal norms and punish individuals who violate them. Now, these processes range from investigation, arrest, trial, sentencing, and corrections. So we are going to look at these various ways of enforcing these standards. Standards cannot operate on their own. They don't operate in a vacuum. It takes an individual, and that individual is you that is a student of the society, is me that is a member of the society, that understand what societal expectations are and understand what I should do, my role and your role as members of the society. So these institution processes and regulations are there to define the norms, are there to create boundaries for me and for you and for the next person. Now, when we move away from that, then we look at the essence of this penal system. Are they just created for the sake of it? Are they just there as legal instruments or documents? Because if you look at the work of our legislators, they are there to make laws. And there are volumes and volumes of laws found everywhere. Now, these laws, if we are not putting them into use, it will just be beautiful, notebooks. If we can't feel the impact of these laws, then it is useless. But for us to feel the impact, we have to put enforcement into place. So now that brings us to the issue of the aims and the goals of a penal system. Now, I want us to understand in this class that, when you talk about punishment, the first thing that comes to mind is, in an organized society, is to send somebody to prison if it is by the legal instruments. Now, it's important for us to know that punishment is at all levels. If you are a worker in an organized setting, every setting has its rules and regulations. If you are a civil servant, you must have somebody that is a subordinate under you. And the only way your organization can go on is when you understand the rules that guide that organization. And when your subordinate go against such rules, what do? If you are the type that just sit down and you want to pardon everybody, you can be sure that there will be chaos in your organization. Now, even coming home, there are rules in every home. That's why, even in our traditional settings, we say that in this house, this is the way things are done. And when a new person comes in, you have to take time to educate the person that here, this is the way things are done. It's not done, it's not the same way as from where you are coming from. So the rules are there and levels of enforcement are at levels. So I don't want you to exempt yourself. You have to put yourself in the place of an enforcement agent. That's the only way you can appreciate what we are doing. Because if you exonerate yourself and say, I'm not a police officer, what do I have to do with punishment? It means you have not known your role as an enforcement of standard. You know the standard. And every one of us is operating with a standard. Like I said, from the home, there are standards. Even if you are a church leader, there are standards in churches. There are rules and regulations. There are things you will do and things that you are not allowed to do. Maybe you are a church leader, and at your own unit, you are enforcing the laws of that church. You come to your traditional meetings. There are rules and regulations. to a level that sometimes when people miss meetings, they are made to pay fines. And the person that is in charge of ensuring that when people go against what the whole meeting has agreed, the person is punished, is an enforcer of the law. You come to a private sector, maybe you own a business and you are the manager. You set out rules as to when people come to work, when they come to work, how they conduct themselves, down to appearance, approach to work, relationship with colleagues at work, and all of that. Now you set out these rules. You educate the people that are supposed to be bound by these rules. When they violate such, what happens? So I want this thing to settle within you that at every level, you are a part of enforcing standards in the society. If these standards are not enforced, then we are operating an animal kingdom where survival of the fittest operates. And the society will not be safe for us. It will not be safe for anybody. It will not be safe for you because somebody will go against your own rights and will not give a damn. You can also violate another person's rights without giving a damn. And the cycle will continue to an extent that everybody will try to survive as much as he or she can, and it will not be safe for anybody. So the essence of a penal system, a punishment system, or an enforcement system, I'm trying to use the word enforcement more because the word punishment, many people get is scary for some people, especially in our society now that people are very mindful of mental health. They are talking about psychologists more. Let's use the word enforcement system more than punishment. So looking at the enforcement or the punishment system, if I use it interchangeably, you still understand with me. It has its own aims. And one of the aims of a penal system, a society that has rules that are meant to be enforced, is one of it is retribution. Retribution simply means to punish offenders for their crimes and provide a sense of justice for victims of the society. Now, isn't it just enough to punish somebody? No. If you just punish somebody, it's not enough. What about the victim of that offense? Let's look at example. Let's take the case of, say, rape, for example. Somebody's child is raped. Now, rape is a criminal offense and it's a capital offense in law, in Nigerian law. When somebody is found guilty of rape, for example, this person stands trial and is sent to prison to stay maybe, let's say, 10 years or 15 years. Now, the victim of this rape, what happens to her? I don't want to say him. I don't know if men too are raped. So let's use the popular scenario that we are conversant with. Now, what happens to her, the victim? Now, the essence of retribution, the essence of punishment is not just to punish the offender, but to also provide justice for the victim of the offense that's in the society. Number one, you see, if this kind of a person that committed rape is sent to jail, it brings a mental healing, an unconscious mental healing to the victim. The way, imagine that this victim is still going about the same society, in the same community, and this person, the victim, keeps seeing him. It's something that can send somebody mad, make somebody mad. And there's a lot of pains on the heart of this victim. The person becomes bastardized, the person becomes traumatized, the person remembers this, is traumatized almost for life. Let's look at the case of robbery, for example. Somebody commits robbery and lives in the same community. Maybe you even know the person. Robbery or even theft, carries your item or broke into your house took away your items that you work for. And at the end, you know, we all know what it feels when criminals are arrested and they go to police station and they return. Everybody's grieved, is angry, is bitter. Several reactions. That's why our people sometimes jump up and carry out jungle justice, because sometimes our justice system fails the society. But trying that person and sending him to jail unconsciously, even if this person is not able to get back his own property, the person is relieved to a large extent. So that's one of the essence. The essence is not just to punish this person, but to bring justice to the victim, so that the person physically and mentally, and there are some instances where there is, you know, a demand of law for the offender to pay back or to return what he took if he's in a situation where he can return such things. Another aim is deterrence. Now, deterrence stands to serve, you know, it helps the society, other members of the society to learn from what has befallen somebody who committed an offense. Let's look at people that commit murder, people that commit armed robbery. The Nigerian law prescribes death sentence for such people if they are found guilty by courts. And there has been this argument about death sentence that now you kill the person. So how will the person get to feel the pain of what he did? He's not alive to really appreciate or go through one kind of, you know, pain. Then you just shoot him. Now, the essence of death sentence, for example, is deterrence. It's expected that onlookers, people that are looking at what has befallen this person, will stay away from such an offense at another time, and several others, because people have quarrels with our criminal justice system that many of the offenses that are criminal, they don't have provision for the person to pay the victim. The crime is, first of all, against the state. So it is expected that when the state prosecutes a criminal and find him wanting and sentence him, it should serve as deterrence. Imagine that a young man that went into armed robbery and is sentenced to, even if he's not sentenced to death, he's sentenced to life imprisonment. Life imprisonment does not imply that you stay there forever, but at least 21 years. Now imagine that somebody that went to jail at 20, by the time he comes out, if he's not giving pardon along the way, he's 41 years. The reason for that is that a good part of his life, the most useful part of his life, is taken out of him. And any other young person at that age, looking at the weight of penalty that accompanies that, will naturally not want to go into such an activity. So deterrence is to serve as, you know, a warning for people that are onlookers or people that have such tendency. Another essence of penalty or enforcement is rehabilitation. Now, if you go to our correctional centers, you know, if you're not familiar with that, the former prisons are now renamed correctional centers. And this is one of the reasons, to rehabilitate, so that some people get to repent along the way while in prison. Some were under influence, different influences. It could be peer pressure, it could be drugs. Now, when they are taking off such pressures and influences, they come to their senses and they realize that they are wrong. And they are thinking of what can they make of their own lives after here. Now, rehabilitation is one of the essence of penalty, apart from the formal system. Now, some of you may be senior officers in your organization. Now, let's take civil service, for example. When someone comes to work late, or let's say embezzlement, or somebody embezzles money from an organization, and he undergoes a disciplinary system, and even if they don't terminate his employment. But they either, make him to, they withhold certain ranks from him. He's demoted. One of the essence is, the system may not completely terminate his appointment, may still want to keep him and give him an opportunity so that he will not be thrown to go completely and corrupt the system. This may not actually be the best example, but I'm trying to bring home this issue of enforcement so that I can relate with it. When I stop at the correctional center, some of you have never visited prisons in your life, so you may not even appreciate it. But there are also ways in the course of enforcement, there should be ways of rehabilitating people. Sometimes you reduce the weight of punishment so that this person becomes sober and he himself not want to go into such at another time. So in the former correctional centers, what the system do is to, create different ways of rehabilitating these people. You will see them being trained in handwork, different kinds of handwork, because the society is still hopeful. They have hope on these people. One day they will finish their terms and go out. Now, when they go out and they have nothing doing, great tendencies are that they'll go back into such lifestyle. But imagine that somebody that went to prison and he was stealing maybe basically to survive. He couldn't have anything to survive on. And that pushed him into crime. And he was jailed. And while in prison, maybe he learned tailoring, or he learned how to make shoes, or learn carpentry, because these are some of the handwork. And some even undergo formal education. There are educational systems or setups in the correctional centers now that take juveniles or even young people through formal education. And some come out and they could sit down for their JAM or GCE and write and pass. Or some that came out with handwork, they come back and they could see that they can make a living by themselves. So why would they risk their own lives to go into crime? And some are actually completely rehabilitated. And these are some of the ways that sometimes the Ministry of Justice, the governor through the Attorney General goes for a prison visit and get recommendation of people that can obtain the governor's pardon. Some of them are pardoned and made to leave the correctional system before their term of their jail term. They are seen to have repented. They are seen to have become remorseful and willing to do something useful with their own lives so that they will become better people if they go back to integrate into the system. And of course, even at home, sometimes as parents, and if at home you punish a child, but you also want to rehabilitate that child so that that child does not completely go out of your hand and become a worse person. So one of the essence is also to rehabilitate. So while we are enforcing the law, we should have it at the back of our minds that we are not enforcing these standards to destroy. There should be room for rehabilitation for as many that wants to be repentant. There are some people that are hardened. So in such instances, you must not also endanger the society by pushing them back to the society. Now, another aim is protection of societies. Like I ran into this while explaining rehabilitation. Why the society, these people who are found guilty of crime are taken out of the society in some instances, is to keep the society safe, because some of them, their continuous stay will either contaminate others or they will continue to, increase in their crime. So becoming dangerous for the people that are living in the society. So when you enforce the law, you save the society. Some that we stay away from that, we reduce the risk on the society too. Then restorative justice. This to provide a platform for offenders to make amends to their victim and the society. Yes, there are some people that are you know, when they realize their mistake, they are sincerely made to either make confessions so that they can, you know, they will be able to appease the minds of victims. Because sometimes it happens sometimes even in families. A family member can stab another to death. So it's so difficult. Imagine that this kind of a person may be sent to prison and maybe he has finished serving his jail term and is about to come back. You know, practically speaking, it's difficult for these people to live together as a family again. One of the essence is also to tutor this person to be sober, to confess, to realize and, you know, sincerely repent, so that by his attitude and by the word of his mouth, it should be shown and proven that of a truth he has realized that what he did was wrong and he should stay away from such. Now, reintegration, we have touched on that partly. Now, when people realize their wrongs, they can be reintegrated into the system. Now, when they reintegrate and they are sincere, many times they themselves are the ones that warn others from such behaviors. But this is conditioned upon their true repentance. When they don't truly repent, they can rather even contaminate others. Now, public safety is part of protection of society. For the public to be safe, generally, there must be enforcement of standards. Now, human rights protection. You know, human rights protection, one of the standards, I was part of the lectures, I followed the lectures yesterday. Looking at the standards, the lecturer for yesterday talked about the Nigerian Constitution as being one of the standards. Now, before I move away from here, I want to give you an example, an assignment, which we are going to look at before we round off the entire lecture. To take a look at the fundamental human rights as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution, Nigerian Constitution as amended. I want every one of you to go and take a look at that. The fundamental human rights is just a portion of the Constitution, I think from section 36 to 41 or so. Now, when we talk about protection of human rights, when you yourself, you don't know what the rights are, it's very difficult for you to even protect another person's rights. And it's difficult for you also to know that your rights are even being trampled upon. So it's very important for students of the society to know the human rights. Apart from the ones that are enshrined in the Constitution, there are several other rights that you must be very conscious that you are careful not to trample over another person's rights, so that the society can be safe for everyone. Okay, at this point, I want to pause and ask us to also make our inputs. We've talked about the issue of the essence of the penal system. And I want to believe that whether you were in the lecture yesterday or not, by now you should have a fair idea of why this course is important for you as a student of the society. At least you must have understood that the society have to do with standards. And these standards needs enforcement. You can't just leave them to operate by chance. They don't just operate automatically. Somebody must be there to enforce these basic standards. And that brought us to the enforcement systems. You know, so we have looked at the various aims of punishment or enforcement. So I want somebody to also talk to us from the class. You know, you may have had a little understanding to make an addition, because I want us to talk from what we have said. I want you to, you know, tell us if you have seen the need for this punishment, and if you have practical examples, you can give us so that we make the lecture participatory and very practical. I want us to really relate these issues with our day-to-day living. Otherwise, it will be like, oh, it's about lawyers, it's about law enforcement. Okay, I think Lucy's hand is up, so you can go ahead.
Thank you, Ma, for this opportunity.
Yes.
Me, I'm not, it's not even the enforcement of the law that is my concern.
Yes.
Is the failure of the system sometimes to enforce the law that is of grave concern to me.
Okay.
Because it looks as if the enforcement of the law is for the poor people only. The rich people do anything and they can get away with it. So it's as if the enforcement of the law is just there for the people who cannot afford to buy their way out of it.
Yeah, I understand. Can you relate it to a practical scenario so that we can relate with it?
Okay, let's say a burglar broke into my house.
Yes.
And then I'm supposed to report the case at the police station.
Yes.
As you get there immediately, they will collect money from you that they want to come and inspect the crime scene. They want to do this. Most of the times, they don't even bother. Once they collect that money from you to come and see where the crime scene, they will not even come at all.
Yes.
And then because the police will just handle the case anyhow, even if most times the case doesn't even make it to the court, even if the burglar is caught, they will just water down the case that you will be so angry you won't even know what to do with yourself.
Yes. Hello?
And then if the case even gets to the court at all, if the burglar has a very good lawyer, they will just handle that case and you'll be dismayed at the results. So sometimes people feel so defeated. We don't have faith in the police that is supposed to be part of the enforcement of the law. You go to court, you don't get the justice that you deserve. So you'll be so weak.
Yes, I think I appreciate that. So somebody else's hand is up. Let's take the two so that I can see Zoma's hand up. Can you make your contributions? Then I may respond. I will respond.
Yes, ma. I partially agree with her.
Yes,
ma. Because we have seen some very rich people who are highly connected who ended up in jail too in this country. Let me give an example. Former Alaji Mena, the former pension commission boss.
Yes.
That took so much money. At the end of the day, he was taken to prison, from prison, was taken to court, was detained and taken to, he was prosecuted, the long and short of it. And at the end of the day, he was sentenced. Even though the sentence may not be commensurate with the offense committed, the important is that he has been punished in one way or another. And again, most of the lapses we are having are even caused by the lawyers themselves. Fortunately, you are one of them. You are a lawyer. Yes, and there are others too. Because I have seen instances where criminals, let me use the word criminals, knowing they have committed the offense, will go to a lawyer and tell the lawyer and confess to the lawyer. And the lawyer will tell them that when you go to the court, if they ask you whether you are guilty or not, plead not guilty. If you plead not guilty, we'll go and begin to drag it. They will drag it. On the long run, at the end of the day, the criminal may escape or may get a very light sentence in that regard. So it is not only the poor. There are even some poor people too who committed the offense who escaped with that crime because of one reason or the other. So it's a general thing both the law enforcement agents, the legal profession, and the court system, and the society at large that is at fault. So you cannot say it's a particular this thing. It's not only men. There are some other big shots who have also gone to prison, both in this climb and in other climbs too. So it's not
I think that's a very useful, can I say, contribution or observation. We are going to marry them to discuss them together. I think David's hands is up. David, can you have the floor so that we hear you?
And good morning, man. Good morning, mates.
Yes, good morning.
And this course is very, very interesting. It has been one of my most interesting courses.
Okay, thank you.
Since yesterday, we started looking at the rule of law too, and today about penal system. Some of us still believe in the system and our correctional centers are working too. But sometimes, and when we go to correctional centers, some of us feel that these people that are being punished are being comfortable. And personally, I believe if you want to punish somebody, you should punish him in a way he will not go back to what he has done. Yes, if I want to beat a child, I punish the child very well so that you not go back to this. But there are sometimes I've gone to programs at the correctional service in Yakio, time without number, and you see them being fed 3 times a day. And then you begin to imagine that hardworking people cannot feed themselves 3 times a day, and the prisoners are being comfortable eating 3 times a day. Some of these things are not, I've known the boys that say, is it not prison? We'll go there too, we'll come back. So if there was a way some of us can hail our views, let this thing be more strict, so that if you go there, you know you are being punished. Maybe to reduce their food, because I was once there and I heard prisoners protested that they don't have good water or good food. And then we outside that are on the street hustling, you cannot eat good food, you cannot access good water. They protested and the government will do something about it. Some of us still believe in the process, because if nothing is being done about this, we will not rest in our houses. Let more prisons, let more correctional centers be built, so that those that don't deserve to live with us can go and stay there, rest, and then learn something for tomorrow. I like the discourse. I'm very, very attentive to it.
Okay, thank you, David. I can see Kelvin's hand. I think I'll give Kelvin the last opportunity so that we can discuss and move ahead, okay?
Yes, man. No, I don't want to talk too much. I just wanted to remind David that even the prisoners, they have rights. So.
Oh, sure.
Of course,
I was coming to that. Thank you that you observed that. Yes.
Thank you, man. Right. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Kelvin. Okay, Unisa, briefly.
Okay. Yes. Good morning, everyone, once again. Yes, my concern is like a question anyway, it's also like a concern. Like somebody who is known as a notorious criminal that is known to have killed, destroyed property, and after that person has finished whatever that he had in mind, he will now say he wants to submit amnesty, and the society will integrate that person into the society without any form of there's a reason behind that. So that is why I just want to add this for clarification. Hello.
Okay. All right. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, so that is just my
your contribution.
It's like a question. All right, anyway. Some contribution, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. I think I appreciate the fact that you are all making contributions, made the class active. It appears you are following. Somebody also made reference to yesterday's class, and our lecturer for yesterday is also here. So I think this is becoming more interesting. Now, this is the essence of, at this level of your study, we are not just here to come and read notes for you and give you notes to go and sit down. I think with this, you can also encourage others who log on and go and sit down not to do so, because you are making very useful contributions that we are also learning from. We need to take some of these things as feedback, because the beautiful thing is that some of you are very big people in places, and some of you are politicians, some of you will go to a state houses of assembly and national assembly where you'll be making laws. Or some of you will also hold executive offices where you will need to enforce the law, even at that official level. Now, these lapses are affecting all of us and affecting the society. The lapses are affecting the standards in the society. But you could see that we have all the laws, that all that it takes for the society to be safe. If it's in terms of volumes of laws and regulations, we have all. We are now seeing the issue of enforcement. And I remember clearly yesterday when our lecturer was up, he made reference to talking about the issue of standard. He made reference to a classroom situation where you as a lecturer, you discover a student is cheating in exams, and when he's caught, is the same either lecturer or student that are begging that he should be pardoned. So I want you to connect yourself. One of the things I want us to take home from this course generally is that don't separate yourself. You are all responsible men and women in positions of leadership at various levels. You are the enforcer of the law. Now, we are talking about the lawyers, we are talking about the law enforcement agents, the correctional centers, the police, the court system, the lawyers. I know that's where everybody's mind, first of all, go. I agree. The primary responsibility of every law enforcement system is to intercept crime, is to prosecute. The legal practitioner is there to offer defense, and it's a requirement of law. And I want us to know that when we are talking about enforcement, I wish I could request that you start this enforcement at your own level too. Because every bit we contribute, it contributes to the society eventually. Now, back to the issue that the first speaker talked about, her frustration about the law enforcement system. It's what all of us are facing. Even the lawyers themselves are victims. Sometimes even the police themselves are victims. So I want us to know that these laws and these standards are already on ground. And we need to understand that the enforcement is where the problem is. And the enforcement ranges from the statutory law enforcement agents to you and to me. As a lecturer, how am I able to enforce in my area, in my class, just my class? How are you able to say, if you don't, okay, let me give an example of myself. When we were under training in the university, there was a strict law in our department that you don't come for lectures late. And once a lecturer comes in, you can no longer enter. Now, it took the lecturers to enforce this. It was the regulation in the department. But if any lecturer wanted to relax and say, no, I don't want trouble with the student, I don't want any court student to follow me to my house and my children and all. And then somebody comes in late and he said, do you know that I'm a wife of the commissioner? Do you know that I'm from this person? And then the lecturer begins to select justice. Then he has failed already at his own level. So these lapses are there. It will take a while for us to do without them, or if God will permit us, honestly, because we are seeing the whole thing eating deep into the system. But the laws cannot get up and enforce themselves. That's the point. Again, I like the contribution one of the students made that said, yes, there are lapses, quite okay, very glaring. But he said he still commends the enforcement system. And I agree with him, because take away the enforcement system now and you will see what the society will become. We will be running. People will leave their houses and be sleeping on top of trees. Because at that point, everybody will feel, oh, it's a survival of the fittest, and they will do it with impunity. No matter how bad our enforcement system is, to an extent, let me not say to a large extent, to an extent, there's a restraint on the part of members of the society. Because if we say that if you have money, yes, there is a way lawyers and everybody can help you out, even in the courts. I'm telling you, it's not everybody that have the money to pay the court system. And I think this is one of the headache of the first speaker, that when you are a poor person, it's as if the law turns his back, the face the other way. And but when you have the money and all, we agree. It is a fact. We can't run away from these things. They are with us. But the presence of standards and the presence of enforcement has restricted the extent the society would have gotten to. And I think I'm right to a large extent. I have been in court and seen people sentenced, some to death, sentenced at different levels. Now, I think we've seen the recent pronouncement on Natasha's case, if you have been following. There has been a lot of political will to frustrate, to rubbish the woman, to do this, to do that. But you could see the court intervention, recall her. Even though, as I yesterday, when I was reading the implementation of the court order, the National Assembly were, insinuating that they've not received, the order has not been served on them. But I can agree with you, you can agree with me that that pronouncement has made a mark. Because this is a woman that
We can't hear you again, ma. Can't hear you again.
Nkema Kolam. Hello.
Yes. Yes, ma.
You still there?
I'm still here, ma.
We are waiting, but
Yes, I'm waiting. There's no audio.
okay. Thank you. I just wanted to be sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello. Oh. There. Hello. Hello. It's very poor. Can you unmute yourself, David? Okay, you are there. Our lecturer is just trying all the alternatives to get across to us. She's having network issues. Let's wait patiently as she keeps trying. But I really I've been enjoying your contributions today. The class is actually lively. The class is participatory, and I like that.
Thank you, sir.
Takwe, where are you? I'm not seeing you, and I only heard your voice.
Please, Mr. Godwin. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Sorry, did you attend yesterday's lecture?
Yes, I was available.
Many of us missed out because of the information in the past that there will be no lectures yesterday. So I don't know, maybe you appeal to that lecturer if he can help us, if he's going to help us to do a recap, maybe in the course of the week. So that those of us that missed the lecture at least will have something. Because as it is now, it's like you're the one representing this class.
I'm not the one who. Yesterday, somebody was a representative.
Okay, and it's like a general appeal now. Whoever represented the class yesterday can help us make an appeal to the lecturer for yesterday, so that if you can help us do a recap within the week, as we still have like 3 more days before the end of the course, so that those of us that missed out completely yesterday will have something, no matter how small. Thank you.
Thank God our lecturer is back online. Hello. Can you hear us?
We are here. I'm here.
We can hear you, sir.
Our lecturer is back online. Okay. She has gone. She called that I should tell you to be patient. And she's having network issues, and she has plenty networks. They're not supporting at all.
Okay, she's back now. Hello, Dr. Naswem. Welcome back, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry that network threw me out, so I was doing my best to come back before so that I could round up. It appears some people have gone away. Okay, sorry for the delay. It's a Nigerian factor, so we are trying to cope. So to buttress the fact that we're on talking about the failures of the system, I was trying to reiterate the fact that in spite of the failures, we are still better off with this enforcement system. I think I was talking about the current case of the Natasha, the senator, and the role of law enforcement, the role of law itself, and the impact, the fact that it has some level of impact on the society. So it only calls for all of us to work harder. I gave an example of what our lecturer said yesterday. If at our various organizations, we could ensure that these standards are enforced, that's the only way we can also make our own inputs in our own way. And let me also remind this class that the issue of the prisoner, people who are the issue of punishment, why punishment should be very hard. I don't completely agree. I've also heard of instances where at execution, the scene of execution of death sentence, some people still made attempt to steal. So it's to tell you that there are some people that have criminal mindsets that no matter how much, no matter what the law does, it won't change so much. But then we should not just. So I think it's a good time to wrap up on the issue of the goals, aims and goals of a penal system. It's good for us to have this at the back of our minds. Yes, some people may have been pardoned, who come back and they are more hardened, but at the same time, some people have been pardoned and they come back and they are better people in the society. So we only need to work harder and also believe that someday something good will happen, something will change about our system. And when it happens, these laws will become very useful to us. And if the enforcement is strengthened, the society will become better for all of us. So the lapses are not enough for us to turn our back on the laws and just forget about it. Without the laws, without the standards, the society will not be what any one of us we desire. So moving away from the aims, we are going to look at the brief history of the penal system. And while we are not going to dwell much on that, I just want to refresh in our minds on the fact that the penal system is not something new. Like I said, we all condition our minds around the official law enforcement agents and their punishments. But in the pre-colonial history, for some of you that were history students or you did civic education, realize that traditional institutions, laws in place, customs and conventions that regulated our society. And that gave birth to what we officially have now as our regulations that are there. Now, in the history, we have traditional institutions, we had customs that were not even written laws. One thing about law is that if we were to look at the definition of law, law is a set of rules, regulations, conventions, customs, and all. It's not only the written law that is law. That's why it appears to some people that we are running a dual legal system. The essence of law is having a set of rules that are acceptable by a people. So we have not completely deviated from our customs and traditions. You know, we have norms, we have values, we have things that are not written down, but people have come to accept and believe in them. So in our customary law systems, we had enforcers of laws, and we have punishment for it. For example, there are some settings that when somebody steals, for example, he's brought into an open market square, he's beaten, is a form of punishment. That alone will deter a lot of people from doing such. It's not written down, but it has come to be accepted as a form of institution and what people believe in. There are some societies that there are levels of affinities that marriage is not allowed. And when it's done, it's considered an abomination, which attracts various forms of punishment, like banishments. You know, there are certain things that people do in certain communities that they are made to be sent away from such communities. Now, I said we are not going to dwell too much on the history, but we have to look at where we came from and where we are on the issue of, you know, the penal system, so that it will not appear as though this thing is completely alien. It's not. It's coming from somewhere. Now, even during the colonial era, you will see that up till the post-colonial era, there is a touch of the traditional law, even in our English law system. You know, there is an upgrade on some of the customary issues. There is some were discarded, some were upgraded, you know, some were translated. Now, during the colonial era, it was then that the Nigerian prison service was established and the English law was introduced by our colonial masters. That was when there was a graduation from our traditional institutions into the English system, and from there to post-colonial era. Now in Nigeria, for example, we have the penal code and the criminal code. We have the Islamic law. We even have the traditional, the customary law in oppression. These are the penal system legal instruments that are operating in our nation. The criminal code regulates the South. The penal code regulates the Northern Nigeria. Now, if you come to our system, like in our state, for example, and in the other part of the country, we have what we call the customary courts. They even have customary courts of appeal. You have the Islamic law or the Sharia courts in the north and the Sharia court of appeal. The essence is that up till now, even our traditions are still giving some level of respect, where those traditions are considered safe and are considered useful. then there's no need to completely discard them. But where the customary law conflicts with the established law, then the customary law or becomes of less significance. It becomes what we call it does not pass the repugnancy test, especially where it breaches the Constitution, or the Constitution is considered as the superior legal instrument in Nigeria as far as the nation is concerned. So at the moment, we are running a dual legal system in courts, but I don't completely assert to the fact that it's a completely dual system. It only takes into cognizance our tradition and customs that are valuable, that are adding value to the society. Because you agree with me that we are only upgrading. There are certain people in our villages that don't even know what is the Constitution. But they know what is good, what is right, based on their locality. So it's going to take time to, for our systems to wear out and come to a point where we completely discard I really wish I
This poor network is really dealing with us. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Is anybody else?
We can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
We're here, sir.
I'm still here.
Yeah, well, I want to formally close the class since the connectivity is very poor. And I also want to suggest that for the meantime, let somebody volunteer to be our class rep.
Do you
Let
still need
somebody
any
volunteer.
volunteer when you are there? You can go ahead, sir.
How can I be your class rep?
Sorry, sir.
Yamgi David.
Present, sir.
Yes. Is it possible for the lecturer to become a class rep?
No, sir.
So sorry, sir. So
Not
sorry,
possible,
sir.
sir.
So sorry, sir.
I'm a core lecturer, so I cannot be. I would have loved to be that, but I'm a core lecturer.
Sorry, sir. I'm so sorry about that, sir. So sorry about that, sir. Sorry, sir.
And because of your participation, you and Takwe join your heads together. Let somebody come up with a WhatsApp group so that we'll be communicating. Go to your chat. If you go to the chat board, I drop some chats there.
Okay, sir.
So that materials can be shared. Those who have issues, like somebody was saying, if there will be a recap of yesterday's lecture, we can only do that when we have a WhatsApp group. The recordings
Thank you
can be
very much,
shared.
sir.
Thank you. So go and rest. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you. You too. So bye.